Howdy, folks, and welcome to another great adventure. And tonight we're going to be doing a little bit of cowboy poetry for your entertainment. Yep, that's right. Your entertainment. We're going to be having some cowboy poetry. So look at that. Anyway, I'm going to present you with some stuff here. And of course, you don't have to look at my ugly mug. And we are going to give you a thumbs up on that. Tonight we're going to be doing out of this book from Baxter Black, Cowboy Poetry. It's called Coyote Cowboy Poetry, and I thought I'd share some of this with you because it's just so darn entertaining. So we'll see how many we can get done in about a half hour. So with that, I'm going to start on it. This one's called The Paradox. Now follow along with me, and hopefully you will laugh as much as I did. The Paradox. The saddle on the rack was priced at $1,300, handmade and stamped with flowers to impress the mucky mucks. And an A-fork tree and a double rigged. But what you'd notice most, the dally horn, rose from the swells just like a cedar post. The rawhide reins and the latigo were first class all the way, because quality in leather goods might save your life someday. The custom-made to-order boots, 17-inch tops, would keep you safe from rattlesnakes, $300 a pop. Scarves of rawhide, imported silken reds and blues and greens, and Wranglers, because no Western man would wear generic jeans. Designer shirts, and with monograms embroidered on the cuff, and silver Copenhagen cans to hold a gourmet's snuff. $100, 10x hat, and leggings made to fit, inlaid spurs and sober chains to match the silver bit. There's everything a man could want to ride the range in style, yet there's a paradox exists that doesn't reconcile. It's ironic in this day and age of Xerox cowboy folk that real grit up every day and ride for pay cowpokes can see the best authentic tech presented on display, but can't afford to buy it on a cowboy's meager pay. Now, I hope that you enjoyed that one. Well, we're going to go on this one, and this is going to be good. It's called The Cowboy and His Tapeworm. The world is on a diet. Seems, no matter where you look, every fruitcake with a recipe has got a diet book. I think if they were honest, I bet they'd all concede the omnivorous indifference of cowboys all you need. He's in tune with Mother Nature and can live off the land, from the mountains of Montana to the muddy Rio Grande. He's the ultimate consumer. He'll eat anything he finds. I've seen him lick the peeling paint off Forest Service signs, or chew a steel fence post just to get down to the meat. He'll eat playing cards and barbed wire, anything a cow would eat. A drumstick from a buzzard, a wilted Christmas wreath, then finish with a porcupine just to pick his teeth. He'd drink water from a cow track, eat the claws of grizzly bear, and you won't find no leftovers. He eats feathers, bone, and hair. He makes hunters run for cover. He scares hitchhikers half to death, and he leaves no trace behind him, just the smell of his bad breath. If you don't doubt, or if you doubt that I have told you. I assure you that it's right. I have painted you a picture of a cowboy's appetite. Though it may not look too pretty, it's exactly like I've drawn it. He'd probably eat a bale of hay if you put whiskey on it. So the world keeps on a jogging and snipping diet pop, but a cowboy and his tapeworm ride the range and eat nonstop. If you're overweight and worried, you should dine with him a while, 'cause there ain't no chubby cowboys in existence in the wild. Well, I hope you enjoyed that one. Cowboy and his tapeworm. Well, who doesn't like a cowboy with a tapeworm, you know? So let's move on to the next one. Yeah, that was a good one. Ooh, that guy looks mean, doesn't he? He's got it. He's got it going on. All right. This one's the rooster. The rooster with spurs. Down at the Smith barn one day, we was calving first calf heifers. Now a lot of them boys that don't speak English real good have to make up their own names for the gringos. They have trouble saying them English names like Carruthers or Macintosh and the like. They sound common to us, but they ain't common to them. They're names for Dale, just to give you an idea of what kind of guy he is gelato, con uspras, whatever, which is the rooster with spurs. He does kind of walk with his chest out, sort of cocky, and wears them big and old jingle rollers, always wearing a wears a bright scarf. He comes a striding in down there one morning pretty early, just dressed up, fit to kill, brand new shirt and everything. Really proud. George had been there all night, and he had a heifer in the squeeze chute trying to pull this calf. He'd pull her for all it's worth and was plumb give out. Dale saw him, said, "What's the matter? Can't you pull that calf? Get it out the way and let me do. Get out of the way and let me do it." George wouldn't about to argue. He'd been working on him for a while. Dale stepped around there behind the heifer, popped his feet up against the bottom of the chute, grabbed a hold of them two OB handles, and jiggers were back. The calf wasn't coming straight out and had half his neck just right. He's a big calf, was all. Dale, whatever, he's gets into doing something. He's gets in his teeth and smiles, just like old jack-o'-lantern squints his eyes. He had a good grip and was leaned back like a water skier. As the calf started to come, a nice, smooth little round forehead on the calf pressed up on against the heifer's rectum and cleaned it slicker than the whistle. There was a stream about an eighth of an inch thick and 2 inches wide came arcing out like a rainbow. It just missed the brim of Dale's hat and splattered all over his face, in his mouth, and down his front of his shirt. He couldn't do nothing because he was reared back so far. If he had let go, he'd have fell on his back. So he just hung on till the calf came out and crashed in a soggy pile on top of him. He went over and dragged the calf off of him. Dale come to life, spitting and cussing. He raised his head just in time to see that heifer, pretty as you please, clean the afterbirth right off his lap. Well, and there you go. What a mess that must have been. Whew. Yeah. all clean and shaved, and got his stuff on. Looks like a big old rooster with spurs. Ha! And what had happened? He got yucked out right away. I think he needs a shower. Now, let's go on to this one. It's called It Ain't Easy Being a Cowboy. Well, it sure isn't easy being a cowboy. So I hope you understand that one. Let's see what this one's all about. It ain't easy being a cowboy. It ain't easy being a cowboy, like the Marlboro Man, because the public expects us to all be from Texas and roll cigarettes with one hand. And I don't even smoke. Hollywood painted a picture like to perpetuate the streets of Laredo still echo his credo. That's a cowboy always shoots straight and I can't hit the broadside of a buffalo. Then Nashville improved on the image, so now a cowboy can be an illegal alien like Willie and Waylon, or a soap opera retiree. And I can't even sing. I envy that smooth urban cowboy who dance cards away always seem full. I'd almost be willing to take penicillin or ride the mechanical bull, because I'm tired of kissing my horse. It's hard to compete with Casey Tibbs, Louis L'Amour, and John Wayne when the best that you've done is buckle your own. Worn smooth since the youthful campaign, now I can't read without my glasses. The 20th century cowboy, what I'm supposed to be, that rare combination of civilization and Jesse James on a spree. But like I said, it ain't easy being a cowboy. So I've made myself a vow to avoid inspection and public rejection. I'll just say, stay out here with the cows. Hell, if it wasn't easy, I'd be something else. And there you go. I hope you enjoyed that one. Now let's talk about tough. Yeah, that's our next one. Let's talk about tough. I've listened to you varmints bragging about cowboys, the toughest you've known. But the first liar don't have a chance, boys, because I knew one tough to the bone. He came out of the someplace in Kansas. In truth, he was hard to dislike, because he weren't really mean, just hard-headed. They called him P. Williker Mike. When the weather got down below freezing, why, he'd never cover his ears. So now each one looks like a knothole, 'cause pieces broke off throughout the years. A she-bear invaded his camp once, insisting on sharing his plate. He'd save that last of his biscuit, though now he can just counter to 8. He used to have both of his elbows, a forehead without so much slope, till a cow jerked him out of the saddle. He wouldn't let go of the rope. He's faster than most fixing fences, though it's almost beyond belief, because he keeps both hands free for pounding by stretching the wire with his teeth. And what's more, he don't use a hammer. Drives the nails with his back of his hand. But this thing I'm fixing to tell you will prove that there's no tougher man. While pushing a cow to the home ranch, adrift in a cowboy's dreams, rattlesnake up and surprised him. His horse came apart at the seams. He buckled clean out of the saddle. He bucked clean out of the saddle, so high that his bad breath condensed and come down a cussin' and lighted astride a dang barbed wire fence. It cut him right up to the buckle between his feet and his chin. He just let his stirrups out longer and rode his old pony on in. And there you go. No tougher cowboy than that. Whew. Anyway, that was a good one. Let's see. The Gay Caballero. Yes, the Gay Caballero. That's the next one. Now, don't you people get your minds a fixin', because we're going to get to fixing it here. Okay, the Gay Caballero. He wore a black hat and come up from Nevada, riding a stock and leg horse. He was looking for work, and he'd like punching cattle. In a matter of speaking, of course. He asked for a smoke, looked right at me, so I offered him the makings to him. He took one look and politely refused. He smoked only Virginia Slims. He claimed he was a Rieta man, and he wore only West Texas boots. He said that he never let meat touch his lips. His real preference was fruits. He wore a bright neckerchief and gold-plated chain with a locket attached hanging down. I saw the inscription on the picture inside. It said, "With all my love, Leroy Brown." Now, Cowboy don't usually ask questions. It's best to let sleeping dogs lie. But then he said he'd sleep in the bunkhouse, and I gave him the wink of and gave me the wink of an eye. He told me he didn't like violence. He didn't like people with guns. Then he asked me who was my hairdresser, and I said I had a cute little buns. Now, these cowboy jobs hard to come by, not something I'd easy dismiss, but I never thought twice about leaving when he puckered and blew me a kiss. Later, they said the boss hired him, and a matter of fact, in my place. But when they told me he was an actor, I began to get red in the face. I realized I had been taken. I'm bumming while he's got my job. He's eating corn in the cookhouse, and I'm left chewing the cob. So tomorrow, I'll look for employment. They say they got nothing in sight. I'll play that Gay Caballero, 'cause I'm wearing my little pink tights. Well, that was pretty interesting. Let's go to a little bit more manly man now, huh? Gotta look at that. Nice pictures of that stuff. Ooh, there we go. Women and mules. He's got a black hat. He's broke. He's leaning as a bicycle spoke. The fire in his eyes. It ain't no surprise. He's a cowboy. That ain't no joke. If you're looking for help, he's for hire. He'll spur that bronc down to the wire, or break him to ride and rope either side, but don't ask him to sing in the choir. He's no good with a wrench in his hand and milking or plowing up the land, but give him a rope, a horse, and a lope, His purpose you'll soon understand. He camps out some nights on the ground. He's no good at settling down. If it doesn't seem fair, he'll say he don't care. Say, boss man, I'll see you around. And ladies, he's usually bad news. He's good for a case of the blues. But with a guitar in a smoky old bar, he'll charm you right out of your shoes. To scope him, you don't need a key. Just remember, he'll always be free. If that's good enough, then it shouldn't be tough. Y'all pretty much get what I see. He plays kind of loose with the rules and's hard put to tolerate fools. But he's good with a horse and children, of course. But he's hell on women and mules. Well, I like that one. That was pretty good. Let's go to this one. Looking back. Oh, no. We're going to go to this one. About the weather. We're going to go to the weather. Doesn't everybody like the weather? Let's talk about the weather. I've been out on JP Point one spring after the thaw. The water was so thick the fish could walk. The road was washed out all the way, but still I struggled on. Just drove my pickup truck from rock to rock. And one time up at Grouse Creek, it hailed all one day. Then I swear it settled into snow. We had to dig a tunnel to put the cows in the chute. And that's the day I froze off my toes. And then down at the Bear Ranch, the fog, it was so thick, we didn't need a fence to hold him in. We gathered up some 2x8s and nailed them to the air and hung the gate securely on the end. At Kipper Flats, or Rafter T, I can't remember which, the weather turned out mighty cold indeed. The wind come blowing up and got the whip and chill right down to minus 99 degrees. But if you're looking for a hole to send someone you hate, try the sheep corrals at Cat Creek by the Rise, the only place I'd ever stood in mud up to my knees and had the daggum dust blow in my eyes. Well, there you go. That's the weather. Big, high, and lonesome. Let's just do one more here. Why not? I'm sure you're all enjoying this. The big, high, and lonesome. The big, high, and lonesome, a place in my mind, like out from Lakeview to Burns, or up on the Judith of Promontory, about where the UP tracks turn. It's anywhere you feel tiny when you get a good look at the sky, and sometimes when it's storming, you can look the Lord in the eye. I stood and watched in amazement out on San Augustine Plain while the sky turned as black as curtains in hell, and the wind come a chasing the rain. And standing there watching, I felt it in the minutes before it arrived. An unearthly stillness prickled my skin like the storm itself was alive. When it hit with a fury. The wind, with its saber unsheathed, led the charge with a scream of a demon. The storm was baring its teeth. The thunder cracked and the sky split apart with a horrible, deafening roar. I felt like a fox in a cage made of bones in sight of the hounds at the door. The blackness shook like a she-bear. The lightning blinded the sun. The rain fell like bullets around me, scattered dust like a gun. It was over as quick as it started, leaving its peaceful instead. The only sound was the beat of my heart pounding inside of my head. I took off my hat too shaken to move, afraid of making a sound. I felt like a man on the head of a pin with nobody else around. But the sun was already sparkling and raindrops still wet on my face. The big, high, and lonesome is only God's way of putting a man in his place. Well, that was a good one. It reminds you of a big thunderstorm. I think we got time for one more, people. One more. I'll try to make this quick and we'll get her done. Because that's what we do around here. We get her done. Yes, we do. Why do the trees all lean in Wyoming? He said, the wind never blows in Wyoming. I said, mister, where are you from? I'll take that top off the big rig RC or peel an unripened plum. Wherever you've been lied to. I lived in Wyoming. I know. I once seen a horse turn clean inside out from standing outside in the snow in a blow. You don't have to shave in the winter. Just pick a cool, windy place. Stand there a minute. Your whiskers will freeze and break off next to your face. They claim that a boxcar of Rollins had a Denver and old Rio Grande was picked up off the tracks and blowed to the east and beat the whole train to Cheyenne. Why, they tell a feller in Lander who jumped off a bale of hay. Before he hit the ground, the wind picked him up and he came down in Casper the next day. They don't have to shear sheep in Whirlin. When they're ready, they wait for a breeze and punch them in the drawers where the willers are thick, then pick up the wool off of the trees. But the wildest tale that I heard was about the small town of Sinclair. It used to set on the Idaho line. Then one spring, it just blew over there. I carry this rock in my pocket for good luck, and here's one for you. Every little bit helps in Wyoming. If you're skinny, you better take two. Well, stranger, you might just part right, though for sure you ain't seen Devil's Tower. Let's say the wind never blows in Wyoming under 85 miles an hour. And there you go. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed that. Great adventures, great stories, and I hope you got something out of that, made you laugh a little bit. If not, listen to it twice. I hope I'm a good enough reader that you can say, well, that was pretty funny. Anyway, if you can, go check out Baxter Black or somebody who does cowboy poetry. It is hilariously good, and it comes right to the point. Anyway, thank you all. Have a great adventure. Go out and do something nice for somebody. And that's what it's all about. So, adventures galore.